Saturday night. Welcome to the Jonathan Ross Show. We've got something for everyone tonight. We've guests from the world of science, acting, comedy and Olympic diving. So let's see who's in the green room. He's Britain's favourite ray of gloom. Jack D is here, ladies and gentlemen. Evening, Jack. I'm always happy when Jack's on the show. We're also joined by one of the best actresses in the world. Star of smash hit dramas Broadchurch and The Accused, the very funny Rev, the fantastic Peep Show. We have got the one and only Olivia Colman with us, ladies and gentlemen. Olivia, how lovely to see you here. Thank you for joining us.
Pleasure, thank you for having me.
We also have the man who has collided more Large Hadrons than anyone else I know. He's the sexy scientist, he's the buff, and it's Professor Brian Cox, ladies and gentlemen. Hello. And we have the star of Splash, an actual Olympic medalist, our very own Tom Daley is in the green room. Ladies and gentlemen, there he is. Right there. Hello, Tom. I imagine just a nice quiet week for you this week?
Yeah, it's been pretty quiet, yeah.
We got nothing to talk about, though. Tom Daley's on the show, and we have great music from the fantastic Ellie Goulding. OK, so that's the show. Before we get to that, I want to share this with you, because David Cameron has been in China on a trade delegation this week promoting our interests abroad. He's probably selling them Birmingham or something. Now, he's obviously been to a lot of banquets, and because he's a respectful fellow, he has no doubt eaten everything that's been put in front of him, because if you're in China, that's the respectful thing to do, OK, no matter how strange it is to us. Apparently, he's had not one, but 2 portions of tropical stinkhorn. Tropical stinkhorn. If Glade bought that out as a plug-in, I don't think they'd sell many. So I didn't know what a tropical stinkhorn was, so we found a photograph. This is... Apparently it's a mushroom. This is what it looks like. Now, come on, you're better than that, all right? How hungry was the first person who said they'd try eating one of those, you think? Now, the thing about tropical stinkhorn is that it is a well-known Chinese aphrodisiac. It's been likened to like a natural Viagra, and he's eaten it twice in one day. Sam Cam wasn't out there with him. Right? So I think that explains this picture. I'm feeling something. And then this picture later on. Daddy like. And then certainly this one. Look at that. Baby. That's him. Should we get my first guest out, ladies and gentlemen? He's been a British sporting hero for over a decade. He's still only 19. We've all admired what he's done for this country. But this week he put a film on YouTube talking about himself to end speculation and to actually, well, to be honest and open with us about something which must have taken an enormous amount of courage. So please, just make him feel extra specially welcome, will you? It's Mr. Tom Daley, ladies and gentlemen. Well, that was a lovely and very warm welcome, as I hope you...
Thank you, guys.
Felt that there. OK. I think there's a lot of warmth, a lot of love in the room. Well, let's deal with this, the big revelation this week.
Yes.
Who would have thought it, ladies and gentlemen? Splash has a second series. That's,
Who knew?
Who knows?
It's crazy, I know.
What a thing. What a thing to have to announce.
I know.
We're going to talk about this a bit first, before we talk about other issues, because let's talk about this. So let's get the TV stuff out of the way, ladies.
Yes.
Because there is another series of Splash after Christmas. The last one was a huge success. Were you surprised at how popular it was?
Well, I mean, it started off a little bit shaky. People had mixed opinions about it, but I had so much fun. And if someone was to tell me, like, 10 years ago, when I started diving, there was going to be a Saturday night TV show about diving, I'd have been like, yeah, right. But, I mean, it kind of took off. The ratings kind of spoke for themselves, and it got more and more. So, yeah, it was great. And
we have to announce, I know you can't say which celebrities are taking part in this series, but I believe there's someone close to my life involved in it.
Yes, I believe your brother is taking part.
My brother Paul is going to be... and you've worked with... Oh,
yeah.
You think that's bad? You should see me in a pair of trunks. But, you know, years ago, he did... there was a celebrity kind of a charity singing thing over on BBC for Comic Relief, and he did that. And I was watching it home with my daughter, and she turned to me quite seriously. She was about 8, and she said, he's brought shame on the whole family. So what? He's going to... How is he doing, though? How is he? Is he brave?
He's doing really well. I mean, obviously, when you think that you're going to be OK going up onto a 10-metre board and people think, yeah, you'll be fine. And when they get up there, they soon change their mind. But, I mean, he's doing really well, and he's working on a little something special, but, I mean,
wow.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
On the last series, of course, you had Joey Essex on.
Yes, we
who
did.
is currently out in the jungle,
Yeah.
doing great and winning new fans, but he's kind of... People like him because he sometimes says, you know, silly, unsophisticated things.
Yes.
He had some moment with you, didn't he, on the last show?
Yeah, when I took him up onto 10-metre, for example, I said, oh, welcome to, like, my second home, this is where I do most... He was like, what, you live here? And he genuinely thought that this was my second home, and I spent all my time
He was looking
there.
around for the bed, wasn't he?
I know, he literally was.
I can't wait to see it. And it starts... When does it start?
January 4th is the first episode, so yeah.
OK, and then early next year, of course, you're going to start training in earnest again, I guess. You've got the Commonwealth Games coming up. There's something else before that, isn't there?
Yeah, well, I'm training full-time now. I mean, it's always tough, the year after the Olympics, with motivation, because, you mean, it's like... You have that massive high of winning an Olympic medal in front of a home crowd.
Yeah.
It was the
Wow.
Olympics last year was just insane. So training this year it's been tough because you've got another 4 years to go. But I'm working hard and making sure that I can get to the Commonwealth Games next year in the best shape I possibly can. We've got the National Championships in February, so just working towards them at the moment.
You said, you know, the home crowd for the Olympics here in London was incredible.
Yeah.
And obviously everyone was so excited. And you did fabulous. You know, you won a medal for us. I know it wasn't necessarily the one you were after,
Yeah.
but you got an Olympic medal. That's incredible. You're hoping the support will be there for you in 2016. I suspect you'll find more than ever before. And you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Which brings us to the announcement you made this week, the film you put on YouTube, which was...
Yes.
to tell us about the thought process leading up to that. Why on YouTube? Why now?
Well, to be honest, it was a terrifying decision to make. I didn't know what the reaction was going to be like. I didn't know how it was going to go, but I just felt like I needed to say something. I mean, there was rumours, there's speculation and all that kind of stuff, and I just wanted to be able to say something in my own words from my heart, because I didn't know what else to do, and I didn't want to be, like, caught on the back foot, like, of anything. I wanted to be able to be honest and open about my life, and obviously some parts of my life are private, not very many, I'll give you that, but, I mean, I felt like I had to say something, and right now I couldn't be happier. I mean, the support and the reaction has just been amazing, and it's because it could go one of two ways, I mean, but everyone's been so supportive, and just have to thank everyone for being so supportive.
Well, I don't think...
Love you too.
I don't think there was anyone whose opinion you would respect who didn't see what you were talking about and the way in which you did that without feeling just nothing but warmth and support for you and admiring your honesty as well. To an extent, I suppose, you were cornered into it, though, were you not, in that the papers were speculating and they were asking you questions, and that when you tried to be kind of not vague so much but not specific about it,
yeah.
and of course you have every right to be private about your life, that could have been interpreted as you being ashamed or you lying, and I guess you had to make sure that wasn't the case.
Yeah, exactly. I was... Because people always say, well, why did, you have a girlfriend last year? And I was like, well, because I had a girlfriend last year, and it wasn't until spring this year, like I say in the video, it kind of came upon me. I was like, OK, wow, I didn't expect it, and it happened, and I was just like, OK, everything just kind of clicked, everything felt right. He really does make me feel safe, happy, and to be honest, right now I couldn't be happier.
You said you were surprised. In the film, you said you were surprised. Were you surprised by the fact that this was a guy you were falling for, or were you surprised by the depth of the feeling or the strength of the feeling you felt? What was it that surprised you? It
was the fact that I was falling for a guy, and it happened so quickly. I mean, I thought I'd really liked someone before, but I'd never felt the feeling of love, and it happened, and I was just, completely overwhelmed by it, to the point where I just, I can't get him out of my head all the time, and I know, it's kind of sounds really soft, but it's true, and I've never had it before where, I love someone and they love me just as much as I love them, because I'm used to, believe it or not, I'm always used to rejection when it comes to girls and dating. Honestly, seriously.
Now I don't know if I believe you anymore.
No, I'm serious, honestly. But, yeah, I've never been in a position before where I felt so happy and, yeah, in love.
So this is really the first time you've fallen in love?
Yeah, this definitely is the first. I mean, I thought I'd felt feelings like it before, but I mean, this kind of way surpasses all of it, and it's, yeah, crazy.
Nothing compares.
Nothing compares.
Wow, isn't that lovely, ladies and gentlemen? You must feel a degree of relief, I would have thought, the fact that you don't have to even think about people asking you anymore.
Exactly. It was all the time, like, when I was doing interviews with sport, when I was doing interviews with whatever interview I was doing, it was always, are you in a relationship, who are you dating, you've got a girlfriend, all that kind of stuff. And it felt like it was my dirty little secret. I mean, it was one of those things that it felt like I had chains wrapped around me. I couldn't say anything. I couldn't be who I wanted to be. I felt so alone and trapped in who I was, and just telling one person made me feel like so much better. Like, the first person I told was my friend Sophie, and just telling one person was it just took such a weight off my shoulders to be able to talk about it with someone.
You know, you mentioned the thing as well, you mentioned your father, and people have said to you, what would your father have made of this?
Yeah.
And I guess that, you know, we talked about this when you were on my show last time, about the tragic loss of your father so young in your life. It would have been nice to be able to tell this, of course, but he seemed like he was a very chilled guy anyway, I got the feeling from you. I
mean, my dad was always a joker, without a doubt. It's quite funny. All my family on my dad's side, they're kind of like the practical joking type, and I mean, they've got banter. As soon as literally, the first thing, when I went into my Uncle Jamie's house, I walked in, and the first thing he said to me, so would you like a cup of tea? So I was like, yeah, sure, let's have a cup of tea. He was like, how'd you take it? And I was like...
So he hadn't seen the clip?
No. And this was the day before, because I had to tell everyone on the Sunday before I recorded the clip, and I was just like, OK, wow, OK, now I'm going to have to go and say something. But my family have always got that sense of humour, and they're all so supportive of me, and I couldn't ask for anything more.
I mean, the incredible thing is, it's very unusual for someone who is a sports person in the prime of their career to have the courage to come out. I mean, normally, you know, there are people, but this is not me in any way being as kind of dismissive of them or trying to undermine them, but at the same time, it's normally near the end of their career that people say, OK, by the way, I need to say this about myself as well.
Yeah.
But for you to say it at the very beginning, really, or the early stage of your career, I think that's what's impressive.
Like I say in the video, I've always wanted to be honest about everything. I mean, I may have been vague because I wasn't necessarily comfortable, like, talking about that kind of stuff.
I guess you weren't necessarily certain.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like, when you're growing up, you may always have those kind of thoughts, but you think, no, it can't be right. I felt like there was something wrong with me. I didn't know other people out there felt that way. I didn't know it was something that people, like, do. I just literally thought, I felt so alone, and I felt so, like, locked away. I felt like I couldn't say anything, I couldn't be who I wanted to be, and, like, from Monday, I felt like I could just be myself.
And there'll be many young people, young men and women watching who maybe are in that situation, in the situation you were in before you had... What would you say to them? Just
even if you're just able to tell one person, if you're able to tell your story and say how you feel, then I've had people that have sent me messages on Facebook and on Twitter, and they said that they've actually managed to be able to tell their parents today because they felt like they could, and they felt like they had some hope, and it wasn't like everyone had to kind of hide away from it, and no one has to kind of be ashamed of it. And to be honest, like, I couldn't be happier. I mean, it shouldn't matter who I'm dating, but in this day and age, but people want to know, and I feel like if you've got something to say about something, then you can tell someone and just be who you want to be.
That's inspirational, and that is why I think you've become, I mean, you already were to an extent, but you've become very much a role model. And you, whether you're aware of this or not, I think you will find that you have become a very important figure to a lot of people. Let me ask you one thing, that you know you were talking about, you know, the shock you felt, the surprise at falling in love. Can I ask you, was it a sort of love at first sight sort of thing?
It really was a love at first sight. I mean, I'd never felt anything like it before. I hadn't even talked to him, and I was just like, OK, wow, OK.
Sizzle.
Yeah, I didn't know. I was like, OK, I didn't know what to do. I didn't know if he was gay or whatever. I was just like, OK.
And so who made the first move?
Actually, it was at the end of the night. We hadn't even talked, and I don't normally do this. This isn't how it went. But I wrote in his notes with my number, and I put "call me" with a wink face. And then I had a text in the morning, and I was like, oh, I can't believe I just did that. You know, like, I didn't realise I'd done it. I was like, oh
so
my
the
God.
wink face was you saying more than just, hey, enjoy chatting with you. It was like, are you interested? Because I'm interested.
Yeah, it was one of those. And yeah, ever since it's kind of gone from there. And,
wow.
Yeah.
I guess some people might say, oh, well, he's in love now and maybe he won't focus as much on diving. But you're saying really that in a way it's going to enable you to focus even more.
It is made it. He was what saved me from not wanting to dive anymore.
Wow. So you were thinking about stopping?
After the Olympics, everyone if you ask any athlete, everyone feels down in the dumps about it because it's such a hard way to get back into it. But meeting someone, he just gave that extra motivation and made me think there's like, yeah, and he just made me work so hard and just like, it was, yeah, he's just exactly what I need.
I think we've all just fallen in love with him, to be honest with you. He sounds great.
Honestly, he really is, and I hope everyone is so, like, as supportive.
Once again, I think I speak more or less for everyone here when I say how proud we are of you, which might sound weird, and I hope it doesn't, but we're proud of you.
Thank you.
So thank you. Tom Daly, ladies and gentlemen. That's Tom Daly. And Tom will be helping us out at the end of the show. It's going to be dangerous, but, you know, we'll see if we can find a spare set of goggles for you. After the break, I'll be joined by BAFTA-winning actress Olivia Colman, scientist Professor Brian Cox will be here, and everyone's favourite sourpuss, Jack Dee, so don't go away. Welcome back, everybody. My next guest was once described by none other than Meryl Streep as divinely gifted. Well, as far as I'm concerned, that's an understatement. Please welcome the magnificent Olivia Colman. You look stunning. You're good. Come and have a seat on the orange couch.
Thank you.
Wow, you look stunning this evening.
Thank you very much.
What a lovely dress. It zips all over. OK, we just had Tom out. Did you watch the Olympics? Were you watching the Olympics last year?
Yes. Okay. Sorry. Very good start.
No, it's a good start. It was a very definitive answer. That's what I'm after. Because, of course, the Olympics were responsible indirectly for one of your two BAFTAs.
Oh, yes.
Last year, because I don't know if you were seeing Olivia, she was in The Accused, she won a BAFTA for that, but also in 2012, very funny show about the Olympics. There must have been huge celebrations, I would have thought, for the whole team, because you're making a show about the Olympics. Did you notice that things in the real world were echoing what happened in the show, or vice versa?
Apparently there was a couple of calls to the production office saying, have you got cameras in our office? People from the real Olympics place. And, of course, the clock fucked up, as did ours.
Yes, that's right. You kind of preempted that, didn't you?
Yeah, it was good, wasn't it?
I've got to say, I mean, I so love seeing you on screen. I really do. I fell in love with you in Peep Show. I thought that was an incredible show.
Oh, I love Peep Show.
But then you come out with stuff like Broadchurch and The Accused, totally different sort of programmes.
Yeah.
And it's very rare you see someone who has the ability to do that, but certainly is given the chance as well. But on a day when you have to say, you know, when it's an emotional scene in Broadchurch, like, you know, there was quite a lot of crying in there, quite a lot of extremes of emotion.
There was more crying than there was meant to be in the script.
Yeah. And why is that?
I just couldn't stop. Sometimes it said, no, was I called Ellie? Yeah, Ellie doesn't cry. And I had to say, sorry, but there's not a chance. Dead boy, no chance.
Yeah.
I'm gonna...
But you do cry, you do good tears.
Yeah, well, it's real when it's happening.
So how do you get that to come out? What do you...
Well, just because it's sad.
But he's not really dead, the boy. I mean, they didn't kill any.
No. Well, I'm not allowed to say that they did, but they did.
I know I know they can be ruthless at ITV. I didn't know they could be quite that bad. What's it like working with David Tennant? He seems like just the sweetest guy. He is. He's the loveliest man. Very funny, just very sweet. I hear you used to have a race on the set. Is that right? Yeah, it was. Yeah, his whistle, wide awake and keen, and the second would knock on our... We shared either end of a van, and I could hear them knocking on his door, and then they'd come to my door, and he'd be out going, I'm going to get there first! I mean, running to set and pushing each other out of the way, determined to get the points. Desperate to get to that dead boy first. Yeah. And start crying. Let me ask you about some of the other shows, because Peep Show was a remarkable, what an unusual kind of show. The way it was shot, I don't know how many Peep Show fans we have in, but a lot of time you see it... it was almost always shot from one of the characters' point of view, wasn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
Is that because presumably you're acting slightly differently? Normally you're trying not to look at the camera.
Yeah.
There you have to look
Yeah,
at it.
and it screws you up for the next couple of jobs because you look right down the barrel and, and you have to stop. And the first series was a proper head cam with a little camera, which was really tight, and it had to have a concrete little lump on the back to try and weigh it down.
So hold it, so you were filming it as well as actually the actors
Yeah.
were wearing them?
But they soon stopped that, because it turns out we're not very good as cameramen. And it starts to slip, and you have to try and keep it in their eye line, so you're acting like that.
Which makes it harder for them, I imagine.
Yeah, yeah. Hard not to laugh.
Mitchell and Webb, who you did Peep Show with, you knew them for years before, didn't you?
Yeah, we met when we were 19.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Tom's age.
Wow.
Ah, little boys.
What's this? Can you tell this story? This story when you wet yourself on stage while working with them?
I think it's already been told, so yeah, it's out of my hands now. That was in David's book.
Oh, yeah. So what happened?
So
Give me the details.
he did ask me before he put it in.
I want your perspective on it.
We were doing a production of The Miser for TIE, which is Theatre and Education. So there was 4 of us in it, and I think 15 characters or something. Yeah. I'm sure someone will complain I've got that wrong, but something like that. And we were travelling around in a van to schools, and David, for some reason, insisted there was one character that had a bow tie, but instead of a clip-on, he had a proper bow tie.
Of course he did.
Which was stupid. So fast changes, it would come out like that. Yeah. And every time he appeared, the giggles became much bigger than the bow tie. And he'd appear on stage with this thing like that. And I just one day couldn't take it. And the suspense was killing me, and I wet myself. And it was a rate stage, so that means it was sliding towards the audience. It was my entire bladder went. Yeah. But what he doesn't know is that in revenge, I wiped my legs on his costume when I went backstage.
So he didn't know that until now. Happy Christmas, David. OK. Your career is going crazy, though, isn't it? I mean, it is incredible. And does it feel weird for you when you're working with, I mentioned Meryl Streep's reference to you, and you've just started working more, just finished working with Vanessa Redgrave.
Yeah.
That must be an exciting experience, isn't it?
Yeah, it was. Oh, she was amazing. And I was absolutely terrified, really excited to meet her, but then completely mute for the first day that we met. Because she's tall and she's powerful and piercing eyes and fiercely bright and amazing. And I just couldn't speak in her company.
And did she realise that you were slightly in awe?
I've no idea. I could barely look at her, so I don't know if she was looking at me at all. Or...
Looks like you were filming Peep Show while you were doing it. OK, this is the exciting thing. I've started watching it. I was sent an early copy of a new drama. I mean, really intriguing, a really kind of weird and strange premise. What can you tell people about it without it being a spoiler?
Well, I had to read it a couple of times to follow what was happening, but it's a sort of ghost story. I don't know how much I can say without ruining it, but Vanessa Redgrave is this woman who wants to tell her life story to my character.
She's like a famous novelist, isn't she?
Yes. So she's a big, very prolific writer. Everybody has read her books. And she has one book called The 13th Tale, and irritatingly, there's only 12 tales in it. So this is her finally opening up before she dies of her real story.
And you're a young writer who's been asked to come and write this story down.
Yeah.
OK, this is The 13th Tale. Have a look at this.
When are you going to tell me your story, Margaret?
I haven't got a story.
Everybody has a story. If you keep it to yourself, it dies and comes back to haunt you. You take my word for it.
Well, I have no intention of telling anyone my story.
Would you mind passing me that bottle?
Yes, of course. What is it?
Liquid morphine. For my wolf.
Olivia Colman with Vanessa Redgrave in The 13th Tale is great. Ladies and gentlemen, the fabulous Olivia Colman. Wonderful. Still to come on the show, I will be joined by Scrooge's grandson, Jack D, TV's favourite scientist, Professor Brian Cox, and we've got music from Ellie Goulding, so don't go anywhere. Welcome back. Thanks for sticking with us. My next guest is a man so grumpy he could spoil the Grinch's Christmas. Will you please welcome the fabulous Jack D, ladies and gentlemen. Jack, it's so lovely to see you out here on the show.
It's really lovely to be here, and this sofa is a bit wet. I'll put up with this, okay?
You're very understanding.
You put me in a green room with 4 of the smiliest people I've ever met. Look at them, they're lovely. Look, Brian has this. Look at them. What are you trying to do to me? Look at him. Brian has a smile you can see from space. Look at him. Unbelievable. And Olivia is so fantastic. Look at Olivia. She's lovely, isn't she? Yeah. Even if she did wet the sofa for me before I came out. And Tom is great. I've been chatting with Tom, and he's so... I mean, what a brave guy. I'm so full of admiration for him because, you know, we've all done that. And, you know, you make a message and you press send by mistake. Now,
and then you deal with the consequences. Yeah, but he's dealing with it well. So you've been on this kind of massive tour, haven't you? How long have you been on tour for?
I was on the road for, well, nearly 2 years in the end.
2 years?
Yeah.
That was after a 6-year break, wasn't it? You hadn't been touring
after 6 years, but I didn't do it, and then I went back on the road, and I was just getting gigs. I didn't realise my wife was actually ringing up and finding theatres for me to go to, which is why I didn't get home for 2 years.
But being away from home that long, how was that? How did that affect family life?
I like it. To be honest, I'm like any other family guy, you know. I always think when people say, oh, I love my family. Well, of course you love your family, but you love being away from them as well, don't you? We all do. It's nice. You can watch what you want on telly, you can have a beer in the middle of the night if you fancy one, you know, order up a pizza, whatever. It's good. It's a bit of freedom. And then when I go home, you know, and they're all happy to see me because the central heating goes back on.
You've got a DVD out. There's a DVD of the tour. It's very funny. I noticed that you talk about engaging with aspects of the modern world that you don't necessarily enjoy. That seems to be a big thing for you these days.
Always.
Let's show a clip. We'll show a clip of it, and then we can talk about this more. This is Jack D. The tour is called So What Live. The DVD's out now. Look at this.
You ever had this experience when someone comes over to your house and you leave them alone for 5 minutes, you come back in the room, and they've plugged their mobile phone in? What's that? Oh, it's my mobile phone, Jack. A bit flat. I thought I'd give it a bit of a charge while I'm here. Hope that's okay. That's fine. Why don't you go home, get your tumble dryer? What the... You know what, my car's outside. Why don't you siphon off the petrol?
So how do your family take this? You talk about your family a lot on stage. How do they mind that? Do the kids mind it? Does your wife mind it?
I do everything for my family anyway. I mean, it's all done for them anyway because that's how I earn my money, by going out. If they don't like it, they can go and live somewhere else.
You're not looking bad for your age, but you are looking old now, right? Okay, so...
Thank you for
But
that.
you've kind of always looked old, haven't you?
Have I? Thank you.
No.
I feel I've grown into my face, you know? My mum used to say, when we meet people in the street, when you know, and when you say, "Why can you smile?" And I did that, and you know, she introduced me to someone. I go, trying to smile, I can't do it.
But now you're an adult. Have you learned a nice smile for people? Wow, that's... You're like Jack Nicholson in The Shining.
Yeah, that's what I do. That's my smile. It's not...
You look like a killer when you smile.
I can't do it. It's not a very good...
It's quite an attractive look, though, because we all like a bad boy, don't we, ladies? But, you know, I'm looking even worse. I mean, we're just getting older. We have to accept
You look shocking these days. You really do.
Well, we have to accept... There's nothing we can do about it. I mean, we could have work done, but you wouldn't want to have work done, would you?
No, I don't think I could go under the knife.
What about the natural methods? Someone said they saw you trying these out on TV. I wanted to see what this was all about, so we got someone as well. These are face... it's a face slimmer, okay? And they said that you used it and you thought it worked. You do this for 3 minutes a day, and apparently... These are clean, by the way. We haven't used this. So do you want to... I mean, it gives you the wrong idea, OK? All right? OK. I mean, I don't know, maybe... Did you have this on the road where you didn't take this on tour with you, did you?
Where does the battery go?
So you put it in your mouth. Well, I've got to read the instructions. You start. To get and maintain the perfect visage, don't need cosmetic surgeon's knife. All you need is the face slimmer. This is from Japan. Solution to sagging facial skin, yes. Eye wrinkles, yes. Muscles that need daily lift, yes. Just 3 minutes per day. Pop in, mould and make mouth movements. Say vowel sounds out loud over and over again, giving you a more youthful, vibrant face. We could both do with that.
I mean, look, you could, so I'll go along to encourage you.
OK, let's try it. So you put it in, and then you have to make loud vowel sounds and exercise the muscles. No. I thought I was going to fall out.
You're putting all the lips inside your mouth, you idiot.
No. You don't put like... How do you put it in?
Don't spit at me.
Well, OK, let's do this. This is an image no one wants to see, ready? Close your eyes. No, don't kiss me! That's not... So, on the road, I know a few years ago...
What do I do with it? Like, can I don't want... You don't need to touch it. It's full of my...
DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, that tested. I remember talking to you on the road, and to alleviate boredom, I think, but also to keep yourself active and interested and engaged. You were learning guitar, weren't you, for a while? You were learning guitar on the road.
Yeah.
And I believe, is this right? You've switched now and you've been learning mandolin.
I have got, I've got a mandolin as well, which I
mandolin.
just as something to take around on the road with me. Yeah.
And do you make a nice sound with the mandolin? Are you getting there with it?
Some people think so.
You think so? You think so? Okay. Would we like to hear Jack try a bit of
no.
mandolin? Dang, 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 dang. So what can you play? I'll be honest with you, it looks a bit silly.
It's out of tune.
Is it out? How do you don't know it's out of tune? You haven't even played it yet.
It will be out of tune. Really. I don't know. I've only just started playing this.
Okay,
so...
but you pick it, do you?
No, you don't. You'd have a plectrum usually. But you didn't provide me with once. Oh. Come on. What do you want to...
I hear you compose some of your own songs.
Sometimes, yeah, I do.
Could we have a bit of one of your own songs?
One of my own songs?
Well, let's have one of your own songs. What's this about, first of all? Or will we be able to work it out from the song?
What it's about will become clear.
OK. Do I need to warn people in advance?
No.
There's no trigger warning here.
You're talking over the introduction of the song.
Beautiful so far.
I first tried aspirin when I was young. I was given it by my mum. I like the way that it dissolved when I soon moved on to paracetamol. You're the top of the league, paracetamol. There are other kinds of pain relief, but you have beat 'em all. So that's a first.
It's beautiful.
That is beautiful, isn't it?
Beautiful.
That isn't... That's not on the DVD. That just...
Is that a cautionary tale?
If you take heroin, then you can't stop. I prefer drugs that you buy down the shop. It goes on.
It's nice. It goes on for quite some
It's
time, I imagine.
An hour and a half.
Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, Jack D's DVD So What Live is out now. It's very funny. He's one of the best in the business. Mr. Jack D, ladies and gentlemen. Great song, yeah. That's it. Thank you. Okay. Jack D, don't go away, because coming up we've got science and a big experiment from Professor Brian Cox and live music from the fabulous Ellie Goulding. So see you in a couple of minutes. Welcome back, everybody. My next guest, believe it or not, has actually travelled through time and space to be with us this evening. He left Lambeth at 6 o'clock and is here now. Please welcome Professor Brian Cox. Looking so dapper, so handsome. Please go now. Well, you're too good looking to be a professor. What's going on?
Oh, thank you.
You're looking great in that suit. So, you're doing a new series. It's going to be called The Human Universe, is that
Human
right?
Universe,
This is
yeah.
what it's done before. I don't know if you cover this in the new series or not, but I've been reading online about science, about the universe, and they've discovered there's a telescope out there called the Kepler.
Yeah.
And they've discovered what they think is a solar system rather similar to ours.
It's a space telescope, and its job is to look for planets beyond our solar system. You go back 15 years or so, 20 years, we only knew of our solar system, so it's possible to believe that...
Only 20 years ago, that's all we knew was our solar...
So it's possible to believe all those stars in the sky were just stars we didn't know. But now we've discovered over 1,000 planets out there around stars. And this solar system you talked about, it's Kepler 90, I think it's called.
That's right.
7 planets around that star. But the remarkable thing, and this was announced about 3 weeks ago, so Kepler has been looking just at a little piece of sky to do a kind of a survey, a tiny piece of sky, and it found 6 Earth-like planets. So these are rocky planets in the right zone around the star, so the temperature's right, so there could be oceans and rivers.
Wow.
And if you just then extend that over the entire sky, the number now people are talking about is 20 billion Earth-like planets that could harbour life in the Milky Way. 20,000 million other Earths out there.
So there must be life out there.
Well, you would think so. The huge question now is, so can we find microbes? And we might find them on Mars. We're looking really seriously to see if there's life on Mars. But
No, we know there's not life on Mars.
well, we don't.
But but not proper life. I'll be honest with you, I'm
this
very
is-
happy for your science people, but we couldn't care about microbes. We want aliens.
Well, this is...
You know that.
This has got
Don't
a
let us
name.
down.
This has got a name called the Fermi paradox after the physicist Enrico Fermi. Because now 20 billion Earths. The galaxy's been around for almost the entire age of the universe, 13 billion years.
Getting a headache.
Why? The huge question is why we haven't seen evidence of another civilization.
Do you think it's out there? You think it's out there, don't you?
I think simple life, so microbes, we may
Not
well
that.
find
We're
on
not back
Mars.
to that again. No one cares.
They don't-
Talking
can you
about
imagine-
something
no.
with fins and a scar, like a language. You know what I mean? Like whoop, whoop, whoop.
I thought you said fins and a scarf.
Yes, they might have a scarf if they're on a cold planet like
Chilly.
Pluto. Not a planet anymore.
But it would be remarkable. It would be remarkable if we found life on Mars and it had arisen separate, so it's different life.
Yes.
Even if it's single microbes, it would tell us that wherever the conditions are right, life can arise.
How many times I've got to tell you?
Well, how big does something have to be for you
At
to
least
find it
4.5 feet. anything smaller than the little one out the Crankies, I don't count. That's the micro. Right? It's got to be bigger than the girl in the Crankies.
So the mini cranky
Yes,
planet
bigger
is
than
not,
that.
You're not interested in that at all?
No, anything bigger than that.
Kepler 90G probably is mini cranky planet. Depends on the gravitational field.
You could
If
just
it's a
be making this up.
If it's a big, huge planet, a big, massive planet, intense gravitational field, then the people will all be little.
What?
Yeah, because you're as big as you can be without the
think
gravitational...
you know what you're talking about
I'm
sometimes.
just making it up. No, but yeah, there could be a cranky planet.
So real giants could only be on a small planet.
Probably. Weak gravity, then you can grow to a larger...
But you wouldn't get a lot of them because there's not a lot of space.
It depends, yeah. It's not going to be... Not be that big, is it? Well, that's not a planet, is it?
But if you're saying
Just a
the
little-
really big planet, the little people, well, a really small planet, that big, one really big bloke, really big... know what I mean? That makes some sense to me. And he's going to other planets to use the toilet.
How did he evolve on a planet that big?
Well, that's your job to find that out, Prof. I've done the hard work. OK, so we're going to do an experiment, and this is always exciting. I love it when Brian comes on the show because he's keen to show us hands-on science, and this does get people, I think, excited and involved. What can we demonstrate? This is something to do with the universe, isn't it?
Well, you saw the story of this comet, Ison, that almost was going to be one of the most miraculous comets, a medieval-style huge comet.
So a big flaming threat in the sky.
And it was on its way into the sun. It's a remarkable story. It began its journey probably a million years ago or more in something called the Oort cloud, which is a big sort of cloud of dirty snowballs, basically, that orbits the sun, perhaps out to a light year, so a quarter of the way to the nearest star. And it's thought that one of them got disturbed somehow and began a journey in, remember, a million years ago. So it's been on its way for a million years. And they start heating up as they approach the sun.
So was it made of ice then? It was frozen?
It's mainly ice and rock. And people are interested to know, does it have organic compounds, the building blocks of life? But this thing came so close to the sun, it went within 1 million miles of the sun. The sun is 6,000 degrees at its surface, so it didn't survive as it came round. But we're going to make a comet.
Make a comet
which is potentially going to be edible, because I know that that's the only way to keep you interested.
I am.
So you can eat it afterwards. But then we're going to simulate the death of a comet.
Well, you're bringing me down again now with that.
Well, everything dies, including the universe.
Well, that's made me feel cheerful again.
Things get worse. Jack is right. His face is a perfect expression of something called the second law of thermodynamics, which essentially says that everything is going to, statistically speaking, decay away.
Wow.
And the fate of the universe is ultimately dire. And that to me, if I was teaching thermodynamics to my students now, I'd just show them that picture and go, that's the fate of all of us.
Wow.
That's what it's going to look like.
So Tom Daly is the more cheerful first law of thermodynamics, where everything's great.
He's defying the laws of physics at the moment, but eventually...
Oh, Tom, look to your left and look at your future.
Jack's the more scientifically accurate of the pair.
OK, so Brian, lead the way. We've got the equipment already over here, so we're going to try and make a comet. That's right, isn't it?
We're going to make a comet, and it's a little bit dangerous, so we'll...
Safety goggles on.
Safety goggles.
Rubber gloves on.
So comets are dirty snowballs.
Why is it a dirty snowball?
Well, it'll have bits of rock in it, but it's the most ancient stuff
so it's
in the solar
sterile
system.
compared to...
Yeah.
What do you say?
So we thought we'd make one with cream, and this actually, and then this. You can put it. This is minus 200 degrees. This is liquid nitrogen. So it's liquefied air. If you want to think of it like that. Don't do that. Minus 200 degrees. So if don't.
But that's all right, because I've got a protective glove on.
Yes, it's minus 200 degrees, man. Look.
Yeah, look at that.
Just throw a bit in there. Give it a stir. That'd be great. So we're making a... What's this? I don't know. Some of that in. This is actually...
What is that you just put in there?
I have no idea. I think he said it... So this is a dirty snowball. So we're going to be... Actually, this technique was first used to... I'm telling you, it's a cookery programme. This was first used to make ice cream, I was told, in 1901. The idea is that comets are much colder than this. This is minus 200.
Can I fit it with my hand, this one?
You can touch it.
Wow, that is super cold.
You can eat it. Be careful, actually. I don't know whether you can eat it. I don't check with health and safety. Is it good?
It's delicious. Creamy death from above. Tom, let's get Tom Daly out to help. Tom, come on out and help us make our delicious death from above.
Yeah.
Hold it. Tom needs gloves. Tom, you need some gloves as well.
Let's stick a bit more of that in.
Hold it. Let him get started here. Let's. Have we got some more cream? Okay.
Chocolate.
Oh, OK, goggles. I never wear goggles. That's serious.
OK, you've got to stir it.
So that's our comet. So there's vast amounts of that stuff. Not literally that stuff, because that's milk and there are no cows out there or anything. But it's a vast amount of stuff frozen solid, much colder than that out there in the Oort cloud.
Right.
And what we thought we'd demonstrate, because it's dangerous, is what happens when... So this is boiling water. And what a good approximation to what happened to the comet is that we're going to put some minus 200 degrees Celsius liquid nitrogen into the boiling water and try and simulate what happened to Comet Ison just a few days ago.
Explain that to Tom as well. Explain.
So actually, so this is hot.
Hey, before you do, Tom, have a slug of that. That's good. What's in there?
I can't drink cream. I'll put on about 10 million pounds in like one serving.
What's wrong with you? Have a bit of cream.
You're all right. You're on the vodka back there. Should I not say that?
True. Yeah, it's true.
Is that your trainer
Why
going
don't
to get
people
very
drink
upset?
I mean, I've
double
had a,
cream
like,
more
couple
often? It's delicious. It's delicious. Tom, you sure you don't want some of this double cream?
I'd rather eat this.
Treat yourself to a bit of ice cream. Go on.
I'll try a bit. This is my favourite thing, by the way, so... It's like...
So that's been cooled down to minus 200 or so.
Pretty good, isn't it?
Good, though.
Well, knock it down with a bit of this. This is good.
I know, honestly, maybe pour a bit on top.
Oh, yeah.
There we go. Oh, yeah.
There's only one way. There's only one way to stop him. That'll stop him. Right. That's done. Right.
Yeah, you say that, but I like a challenge. Okay, so what are we going to do?
So we're going to simulate what happened to Comet Ison. Step back a little bit.
Hold it.
Probably. So actually, you can do it. So this is what happens when these comets, frozen solid, snowballed, minus 200, minus less than that, comes in toward the sun, heats up rapidly, and what happened to Ison was it exploded and fell to bits. So 300-degree temperature difference between these two.
They're not going to get along.
Either this is going to explode.
This is going to explode, and this is... Listen there. Jesus Christ, this is bad.
Go on, get it in.
All right, you ready? Do you want to pour some of this for me as well? Okay, here we go.
Don't put your head over it, though.
Don't put your head over it. All right, you ready? And the lights right for
an
this?
exploding comet.
Shall I move this out of the way? What if that goes... Hey, what is going on here? We'll move that out of the way first. Brian, it's all right for you, but we're national treasures. All right, here we go. You ready?
Go on.
So this is like a comet in space. You ready?
300 degrees on its way to the sun.
All of it?
Oh, look, go on.
Wow! That's pretty good. Pretty good. Oh, man, I really wish we could have like a Genesis track playing there. OK, let's go for it. Let's go for it. We've got the giant tub of doom.
Yeah, let's...
This is all filled with that stuff. OK, so hold it. Before you do that, I'm going to say goodnight now, just in case. Thanks to all my guests this week. Next week on the show, I'll be joined by star of Elf and Anchorman Will Ferrell, from X-Files and The Fall, the gorgeous and talented Gillian Anderson. David Beckham will be here in person. And we've got music from singing superstar Leona Lewis. So before we go to the music, let's see if we can blow up the studio. Really good, Ryan Cox, ladies and gentlemen. Tom Daly. Here she is singing How Long Will I Love You? Ellie Goulding.
How long will I love you? As long as stars are above you, and longer if I can. How long will I need you? As long as the seasons need to follow their plan. How long will I be with you? As long as the sea is about to wash up on the sand. How long will I watch you? As long as you want me to. And longer might far. How long will I hold you? As long as your father told you. As long as you can. How long will I give as I live through you. However long you say, how long will I love you? As long as stars are above you, and longer if I may. How long will I love you? As long as stars are above you.
Ellen Goulding, ladies and gentlemen.
While some incredible performances tonight, catch the results of the semi-finals from the X Factor tomorrow at 8 before David or Kian will be crowned King of the Jungle. It's the final of I'm a Celebrity, Get Me Out of Here, live at 9. Next, who's for real and who's getting one over on the other team with a fake reaction on ITV2 next. Here, catch up with the latest ITV news. It's on the way.